A father arrives at daycare to pick up his daughter, but the little girl doesn't smile. She trembles, refuses to leave. The caregiver senses something's wrong, very wrong. She follows them, and what she discovers in the woods will haunt her forever. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon in Tacoma, Washington. The sky outside Sprout Daycare was painted gray clouds hanging low like they were listening. Inside, the routine was winding down. Children laughed, built towers, and chased each other across mats while caregivers prepped bags and reminded kids that mommy or daddy would be there soon. Jessica Lane checked her tablet. One name lit up next: Emily Carter. Her mother had already pinged the app on her way. Jessica smiled. Emily was a quiet but bright 5-year-old with the kind of wisdom behind her eyes that made her seem older than her years. The child loved story time, always stayed behind to help clean up crayons, and never gave the staff any trouble. Until that day, Jessica walked out to the playground where the kids were enjoying their last few minutes before pickup. She called out to Emily, who was perched atop the plastic castle slide. Normally, Emily would jump up, grab her ladybug backpack, and bolt into a hug. But today, something changed. Emily's eyes widened, her whole body tensed. I don't want to go home, she whispered. Jessica paused. It wasn't a whine. It wasn't tantrum-style drama. It was fear, raw and paralyzing. Jessica crouched beside her. "Emily, sweetheart, your mom's coming. It's okay." But the girl backed into the shadows under the slide and shook her head violently. "No, I want to stay here, please. Please, Miss Jessica." It rattled Jessica to her core. In all her years as a caregiver, she had learned to trust the subtle cues when a kid was overtired, hungry, anxious. But this wasn't that. This wasn't normal. "Is something wrong at home, sweetie?" Jessica asked gently. The little girl didn't answer. Her lips trembled, and then she whispered, "Here people are nice." Before Jessica could press further, the doorbell rang. "That's probably your mom," Jessica said softly, trying to reassure her. "Let's go see." But Emily didn't budge. Jessica, sensing the tension, said she'd be back in 5 minutes. A pinky promise was offered. Emily nodded but never lifted her hand. Jessica returned to the front desk expecting to see Emily's mother, but instead a man stood there. Tall, clean-cut, polite, holding a phone. "Hi, I'm here for Emily Carter," he said with a smile. Jessica blinked. "Are you registered as a guardian?" "I have my wife's phone," the man replied smoothly. "She asked me to pick her up. Work emergency." The phone confirmed it, logged into the mother's account. The app matched. Barcode scanned. Still, Jessica hesitated. Then, recognition clicked. She remembered him, Mark Carter. He had attended a parents' evening the year before. The man looked the same, but something about his eyes felt colder. Jessica offered to set up his own profile for future pickups. He smiled, agreed. It was all normal, on paper anyway. They walked back to the playroom together. "Emily," he called cheerfully. Jessica watched the little girl recoil. Her tiny fingers dug into the edge of the castle slide like she might dissolve into the plastic. "Let's go," Mark said, extending his hand. Emily moved like her bones were heavy, slow, reluctant. Each step toward him felt unnatural. Jessica helped with Emily's coat, her bag, her shoes. Then out of nowhere, Emily ran. Not toward the door, back toward the classroom. Mark caught her before she could twist the handle. She clung to the walls, crying. Jessica watched. Something wasn't right, but she couldn't prove it. "Just tired," Mark muttered. "Long day." Emily didn't scream, but her silence was louder than anything Jessica had ever heard. They left. Jessica stood in the doorway, rain misting against her face. Something in her gut screamed, "This is wrong." Then fate intervened. Another teacher rushed over holding Emily's beloved stuffed rabbit. She forgot this. Jessica didn't think. She didn't ask. She grabbed the toy, bolted outside. Mark's red car was still in the lot. Emily sat in the back seat, face turned toward the window, eyes vacant. Jessica walked closer, about to knock, until she heard Mark's voice through the cracked window. "You embarrassed me in there, just like your mother." Jessica froze. The words weren't shouted, but they dripped with threat. A sharp contrast to the smiling man inside the building just minutes ago. Emily shrank away from him. The toy still in Jessica's hand suddenly felt heavier, like it had just gained meaning far beyond comfort. The car pulled out. Jessica sprinted to her own, slammed the door, started the engine. No plan, no logic, just instinct. She followed. For 20 minutes, they weaved through Tacoma until Mark veered off onto a wooded road on the city's edge. Jessica's stomach sank. This wasn't a shortcut, this was isolation. Then the car stopped, just off a dirt shoulder, surrounded by dense forest. Jessica parked behind a brush, waited. Mark got out. Emily followed slowly, her body language stiff. The stuffed rabbit still clutched to Jessica's chest. She stepped out into the cold air. "Mr. Carter," she called. Mark turned. He looked surprised, then annoyed. "I just wanted to return her toy," Jessica said, holding it out. Emily's face lit up for a second, but she didn't move to take it. "We're just out here because she needed to use the bathroom," Mark said stiffly. But Jessica didn't believe him, neither did the forest. She nodded. "Of course, I'll leave you to it." But she didn't. She walked back to her car, sat behind the wheel, and stared through the trees. Then she did something she'd never done before. She called the daycare, told them she was delivering a lost item, and waited. Minutes passed. Mark's car didn't move. Then screaming, a voice, female. Jessica's blood ran cold. She looked up. Mark's car sped out of the woods and onto the road, but from the direction of the Carter home. Jessica followed again, this time with her heart pounding so loud she could barely hear the road. When she arrived at the Carter house, everything looked normal. Lights on, curtains drawn. She waited, and then glass shattered. Jessica grabbed her phone, hit record. A figure passed by the window. A shadow lifted something heavy metal. Jessica called 911. "There's a child in the house," she said. "I think something terrible is happening." The sirens screamed minutes later. Officers poured in. Mark tried to flee but was subdued. Inside the house, Emily's mother was found locked in a bathroom, bloodied, bruised, crying. Emily still clutching her rabbit. Jessica approached. The little girl ran to her like she was running to the only safe thing in the world. And in that moment, everything made sense. Later that night, as police officers took statements and paramedics treated wounds, Jessica sat quietly beside Emily on the ambulance step. The girl's tiny fingers gripped her hand like a lifeline. She wasn't crying anymore, just silent, watching, processing. Jessica kept her voice low. "You're safe now, sweetheart, I promise." Emily leaned her head against Jessica's shoulder. The rain had started again, soft at first, then steadier, washing the blood off the Carter porch, muting the flashing lights, as if the town itself wanted to help clean the scene. Inside the police cruiser, Mark Carter sat alone, cuffed, defeated. But Jessica didn't look at him. Her eyes were on Emily, and on Malene, Emily's mother, who, after being pulled from the locked bathroom, had broken down in a sob so deep it seemed to come from her soul. "Why did you come?" she had asked, Jessica, voice hoarse with pain and disbelief. Jessica only said, "Because your daughter didn't want to go home." That night, as the three of them sat in the station, Jessica giving her statement, Malene and Emily resting under warm blankets, trauma counselors arriving. Something shifted. Jessica realized this wasn't just about one child. It was about listening to your instincts. It was about not looking away. Emily would need years to heal. Malene, too. But they had a chance now, a future that might have been stolen if not for a forgotten stuffed rabbit, and a gut feeling that refused to be ignored. Jessica drove home near sunrise, her hand still trembling on the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed with missed calls and texts, but she ignored them. She pulled over by the sound, rolled down the window, and let the breeze hit her face. She had done something brave that day, something right. And sometimes that's all it takes. If this story moved, you don't just scroll past. Leave a comment. Your voice could inspire someone to act. Like the video to support true stories that matter. Subscribe to Tim Stories for more powerful real-life tales of courage, love, and redemption. And turn on notifications because you never know when a single moment can change everything.